Club Radio. Club Radio.
Check it out.
Drop it.
Can't stop, won't stop. Where the bricks at? I give him that ditty bop. Like take that, take that, take that, take that. I'ma put in work. I'ma do that ASAP. Throw my faith in rap, but it say don't say that, huh? What I'ma turn down for? I feel like Shaq in 9-4. Breaking glass in that backboard. I like Kobe and Toronto, huh? Driving 81, yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake. Sleeping on it, should've stayed awake, huh? Everybody make mistakes.
I must
like
tell you that I absolutely enjoy that song. You Can't Stop Me. It just amps me up. It keeps me going, keeps me pumped and hyped and super excited and stoked for life. Because one thing that he says in that song is, my biggest enemy is me, and even I can't stop me. What? Super amazing. Like, imagine that. Your greatest enemy that you'll ever have in life is yourself. Yourself. And think about that. It's so true. Because how many times have you talked yourself out of doing stuff? Don't do that. That's too crazy, right? You want me to stand in front of a bunch of people? Self says, yeah. And self say, no, you're nuts. I'm not doing it. Right? We talk ourselves out of so many opportunities for us to advance. Don't apply for that job. Why? Because you don't meet all of the criteria. Well, it says that you need a college degree, even though you've been doing this for years and years and years. You're not qualified. Never even knowing if the person on the other side of the interview is willing to make that as an acceptance. Make an exception. Right? We talk ourselves out of so much, right? You ever met a really great person, and because everybody else is concerned about how much time you've known them, that you decide what? That you're not going to, you won't continue to endeavor with that person? Well, I know some amazing stories where they've met people literally 30 days into it, or 6 months, or 3 months, and I kid you not, they have been happily ever after 10 years later. But yet and still, because of everything else that everybody else is saying, we are actually more catering to what they desire instead of what we're compelled to do. And then we wonder why we continue to question our inner voice. We don't trust the voice within anymore. Why? Because we've given too much voice to everybody else. We've given them more power over our lives by submitting to their voice, their authority. Am I telling you to be a rebel and go out there and just completely say, I don't care what anybody say, I'm going to do whatever I want? No. But what I'm telling you is don't miss the opportunity to listen to the voice that's speaking to you within. Because your greatest enemy is you. Don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of doing the great things in life. Trying new experiences, whether it's skydiving. Now listen, myself don't have to talk myself out of doing that. That's something I'm just not interested in, right? Skydiving. I would like to go scuba diving. Like, that would be so amazing. And you're talking to a person who had to overcome the fear of water. Learned how to swim when I was 25 years old. Don't tell nobody else. Well, anyway, so, being able to try new things out. Go to the Grand Canyon. So many people I live in Arizona. So many people are like, I've never been to the Grand Canyon. Why have you not been? Because it's a far drive. Really? That's the best we got? So I want you to continue to motivate yourself and inspire yourself to go ahead and do the unstoppable, because you are an unstoppable force. Like, do not let anything keep you down. And I mean that. Like, whatever it looks like, it doesn't even matter. I'm being honest. Like, it doesn't matter. Because I remember the day when I used to sit in my room and I would think to myself, I don't have anything to do. And I would pull out a paper and I'd get a pencil and I'd start drawing things. That's when I learned that I knew how to draw. Not learn how to draw. I learned I knew how to do that. There's a lot of things that we miss opportunities to even know that we possess as gifts and talents, because we don't give no room for them to actually be activated. You unactivated sitting on the couch. You remember those Everest commercials? Hey, you sitting on the couch. Well, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to everybody out there, no matter what it is that you're doing. Don't miss an opportunity to continue to feel even good about yourself. We feel the best about ourselves when we are literally doing and trying new things. We begin to become proud of who we are as a person, because we're like, you know what? I didn't realize that I was actually good at playing the piano, but I started it. Or maybe now that I've learned that I have some kind of a, information and some concept of how to put the keys and the music together, maybe I'll go out and take a class, right? I absolutely love dancing. Now, I won't tell you I'm the best at it, but I absolutely love it. So I enjoy going to take dance classes. There are several places across the valley down here where we can do salsa dancing. You can do stepping, right? You know the Chicago folks out there. I'm talking to you. I definitely enjoy Chicago, learning how to Chicago step. So therefore, when you get out to these different dance floors, you can come with more than pop, lock, and drop it. You know what I mean? And although I like to pop, lock, and drop it too, I don't know that I want to be doing that, you know what I'm saying, in a club setting or any kind of a, dancing opportunity. I don't know that I want to be dropping my classy self on the floor. So, needless to say, I definitely enjoy dancing. And I'm talking about, I even learn from the kids, guys, because I mentor children. So I go learn how to do, the nay-nay. I was like, who is nay-nay? Okay, so they was like, Miss Q, that is a dance. Oh, okay. So they were teaching me. So I really enjoyed doing that and enjoyed doing, okay, I don't know what the one's called. Yeah, y'all know what that is. So anyhow, learning that those different things, I began to learn that, I may need to be taught, but it's something that I enjoy doing. And even enjoy doing that, I get to connect with other people and doing it, right? So I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit with that. But anywho, you have tuned in, and I'm super, super excited as always to Inspiration Nation here at Club Light Radio, where your host is Aqueela Maddox, also known as the Inspirationalist, always desiring to inspire you to live your best life today with different aspects with different perspective, because I want to employ you to have a more positive outlook on life. One of my mottos is you'll never get rid of your problems, but you'll definitely determine your end by the way you respond to them. So I want to empower you to always see life in a way that allows for you to enjoy it and not see it as a nuisance. Because we got some time together, and I want you to enjoy it. Today I want to talk to you about you're reaping what you sow. Right? You've heard it, I'm sure, plenty of times, because somebody's mama done said that. You reap what you sow, right? Or we think about it as being karma. Well, I want to really be more intentional about my approach to it by more so focusing on sowing the seed. Because I don't think we realize that we have the power to literally and truthfully determine what's going to uproot by depending on what we put into the ground. When I talk to my clients, I often tell them, you need to see or you should see yourself as soil. And your ground is just as wide and tall and big as your person. So, with that, this is how much ground you have to cover. So what is it that you are imparting into your soil? Are you allowing rocks to get in there? Are you making room for weeds? How many flowers do you have? Is there any fruit? Because what I'm questioning is what are you listening to? What are you hearing? And what are you saying? These are the different ways that we allow things to be imparted into our soil. Key thing to know, weeds grow faster than flowers and fruit. Have you ever noticed that? You can pick up a dandelion, which somebody had to later tell me was not a flower, right? All these years I was bamboozled, I tell you. So I pick up a dandelion. I'm super excited about it, and I'm just blowing that thing all over into the neighbor's yard. Next thing you know, tomorrow, whoop, whole yard full of dandelions. Now, we as children definitely enjoyed it, but we didn't realize that they were weeds. Sometimes life looks just like that. We may be imparting things into our soil that seem to be enjoyable, but they're literally damaging to our ground, taking up all the room that the flowers should be occupying and the fruit should be occupying. What would that look like, you say? I'm glad you asked that question. I'll be happy to explain. Well, what that may look like is I had an opportunity to speak to a young lady who was absolutely beautiful, and I mean that. Everyone that I see, I can always see and I admire the beauty in each individual that I have an opportunity to come face to face with and meet. Well, she was absolutely beautiful. And she had some really great attributes about herself that she also liked about herself, but she definitely downplayed on every other place in her, about every other thing about herself, right? And so I was beginning to question, what are you listening to? She's like, well, I really don't listen to the radio, but when I do, I'll listen to some very inspiring music. I don't tend to listen to things that I believe tear me down. Okay, do you ever listen to any podcasts, talk shows, talk radios, anything like that? She's like, no, not really my thing. Okay, cool. So I'm like, well, what are you watching? And she's like, well, I don't think I watch anything on TV that impacts my vision of myself. Because oftentimes what we don't realize is that we are subconsciously or consciously comparing ourselves to other people and things. We'll table that. So I asked her, what is it that you were watching? She's like, I don't really watch a lot of things. I'm not really big on TV. By the time I get home, there's really not much time. I don't have cable. I'm like, okay. So then I said, well, what are you saying about yourself? Or what are you hearing even about, other things? What are you hearing other people say about you? People always compliment me. They think I'm great, and they think I'm really nice. And, they tell me these talents are good. And, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, there's just a discrepancy somewhere, because obviously for you to downplay who you are and the value that I see you possess, we're missing something somewhere. So I'm a law and order girl. I like to pull in all the evidence by sometime having to dig into something that you may not have realized has been a clue all along. Let's go to that clue. So I wanted to revisit what it was that she was watching, because she said she watches certain things. She also told me she surfed on the internet. What are you watching on the internet? She watches YouTube videos. Dun, 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 dun. Well, that was my first clue. Because oftentimes when people are watching, things on the internet, there's always commercials that are involved in there, and, advertisements that are going to emphasize beauty and things like that. The makeup and the eyeshadow, the eyeliner, right? Oh, well, Aqueela, those 30 seconds can't impact my life. Says who? Because they do. And what you don't realize is it's like a dandelion. It seems like it's something that's harmless, and it's literally poisonous to your ground. Well, not only was those are the things that was coming into her eye hole, aka her soil, but she was also watching YouTube videos of people like Beyonce and Kelly Rowland, or I can't think of all the artists, forgive me, but all of these beautiful people, she's watching them. Well, how does that impact her? Because as she's looking at Beyonce, with her beautiful self, it's reminding her of all the work that she needs to have done to herself to be considered, presentable like Beyonce. She's watching all of these other stars who has the most grand makeup appearances and their hair is absolutely flawless. Meanwhile, how many shots did it take to get like that, and how much airbrushing, and how many hours in the gym? While, there's a lot of work that goes in, and no, I'm not saying that it's not worth it, but being able to be appreciative of who you are really employs you to live a good life and be able to emphasize the areas where you are great. You miss that if you're constantly comparing yourself to the things that you're not. Well, although I think Beyonce is stunning, right? I do. I think she's absolutely beautiful. But I like me. I've begun to appreciate where I wasn't always able to. This here space. Right here in the middle of my teeth. And therefore, I'm not saying everybody got to go embrace and don't get braces. I'm choosing not to do that, because I've literally began to embody that part of me. To where now I sit there and think about, what would I do without my gap? What would I do? How would people know me as the Aqueela, the inspirationalist, without my gap? I began to also recognize that all these freckles here, compliments to my grandmother. I embrace them. My forehead, I embrace that too. I no longer take pictures like this. Yes, I was doing that because I wanted my forehead to be smaller, and so people can stop talking about me. Talking about my hairline starts all the way in the middle of my head. I don't think it's true. Anyway, what do y'all think? Okay, don't answer that. Don't leave any comments. Don't make any questions. I was just joking. I'm not serious. But no, seriously, I've learned to embrace all of the all of the character and the attributes of who I am. Whether it be me being silly, because some people are very serious in their approach. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, I walk up to some people and they're so serious, I be like, do I seem immature? Well, I'm not worried about it. Because I learned that in order for me to be effective at purpose, I have to be myself. So I began to speak life into my own soil by saying, Aqueela, every person that needs to hear from you, who has been called to hear from you, need you to be you. They need you to be just the way you are. Silly, confident, and be able to admit all of my flaws and insecurities out loud. I live out loud, basically. I'm okay with that. I'm no longer trying to fit myself into the mold of someone else's character, into the mold of their person and who they are and what makes them unique and individual. So oftentimes we don't realize that we are subconsciously comparing ourselves to people that we are seeing, whether it be indirectly or directly. Hearing it in commercials, even the voices, right? You hear the very soft-spoken woman or the very, stern man that you hear in the commercials on the radio, and you begin to question, like, well, what do I sound like on the phone? Because I ain't gonna lie, some days I used to be like, do I sound manly? Especially when I wake up in the morning. Woo! Anywho. But being able to really be intentional about what you're listening to, what you're hearing, what you're saying, what is being said to you, what is it that you're welcoming? Because even though people have opinions, and you may even value the word of others, you want to still be intentional and say, I may not need to hear that. Or, you know what, I appreciate you sharing that with me. And although I definitely welcome your advice and your opinion, this is one area I may not need you or want you to speak to. So while I was literally putting together my business plan, formulating the program that I use to be able to speak and promote life change in others, I didn't want people speaking to that. Not because I wasn't interested in their information and their input, because I wanted to be able to confidently present what it was that I was going to offer to my clients. If I'm not sold on it, nobody else will be sold on it. So as we're talking about reaping what you're sowing, it's also, and we talked about understanding that there are some weeds in life which appear to look like flowers, but they're really infiltrating and poisonous to our ground. We also want to consider our ground. What condition was our ground in when we started? Because here's the thing about weeds. They can grow on sidewalks. Yeah, you heard me. That means that they don't need the most fertile, lush soil in order for it to produce. So while you think that you're producing and you're still growing, but what are you growing out of? Are you growing out of a place of depression? Are you growing out of a place of pain and being hurt? What are you growing out of? What is the condition of your soil as things are being imparted? Because the really wonderful and amazing flowers that others can also enjoy, they're not growing in between sidewalk cracks. They're not growing next to rocks. They have to literally be in a soil that was cultivated, set apart, and intentionally set up just for that flower. Roses, you think about those, right? Roses are grown in the best soil. There has to be, certain conditions in order for it to actually produce. And then those flowers, once they're grown, we end up enjoying their beauty. And here's the great thing about it. Other people enjoy the beauty of those roses too. Isn't that exciting? That same thing is true for us. As we begin to grow, cultivating our soil, setting up the atmosphere of our growth to be so intentional, right? We're intentional in that thing that now when we begin to grow fruit and produce flowers, other people begin to enjoy the beauty of our growth and development as well. Hence, being here, being able to speak into your life, being able to grab a hold of my roses, which still are accompanied with thorns. There may be some flowers out there that are in some circumstances that resemble roses. They're absolutely beautiful, and depending on how they're handled, they can be hurtful to you and others. It's the reality of it. Okay? So, I want us to also think about that. That as our soil, that the condition of our soil, it actually, depending on our soil, is going to dictate what it is that we're actually suitable to grow. What kind of condition is your soil in? Did you know that even if soil is not in the best condition, it can actually be broken down and cultivated to be in a better condition? That's what the cultivation process looks like. You're actually going in, pulling out the rocks, any debris, anything that does not belong and will hinder the process of the flower and the seed that's being sown. What have you done to intentionally uproot the weeds in your life? The things that are trying to choke purpose. The things that are trying to hinder your growth and development. The things that are trying to provoke something beautiful from uprooting out of you. You don't know? Well, I would like you to ask yourself that question. Write it down, because now that you've written it down, you're actually able to approach it now, because we talked about, right, in our previous segment, that what you think and everything that you put your mind to, you can do. So once you've written it down, you begin to see this thing in your eyes and say, this is what I believe hinders my growth. This is what I believe is currently lying in my soil that's hindering my ability to enjoy my life. Okay? So, with that, I also want us to now be able to come up with, and we'll find a solution together, and how we can continue to keep our soil in a place of where it's fertile. Our next thing, when we plant our seeds, we want to make sure they take root. So begin to cover those seeds that you've planted. Don't expose them to everybody. You may not want to tell everybody what process you're in right now, because other people may not understand it and they begin to pluck it up because it's too soon. And to talk you right out of doing that thing that you just encourage yourself to do. I want you to be careful to cover your seed. It grows, and even though it's still growing, you may not see its growth, but understand that it's growing downward first. So until it becomes something that's settled in you, you may not want to necessarily connect to everybody what process of growth and development that you're in, what season that you're in, and what things that it is that you're currently sowing. Okay? So when you're thinking about, as you're mulling over all the information that I shared with you today about it, you reap what you sow, and being intentional about your soil and the seeds, and recognizing the difference between weeds and flowers, I'm hoping and praying that you will begin to see revelation in your life, and it promotes a life change that empowers you to also empower others to be intentional about what they hear, what they say, and what they see. You've tuned in to Club Light Radio's Inspiration Nation with your host, Aqueela Maddox, known as The Inspirationalist. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and wherever other social media platforms that you're connected to. And as always, I hope to see you on the other side of happy.
Can't stop, won't stop. Where the brakes at? I give him that diddy bop. Like take that, take that, take that, take that. I'ma put in work. I'ma do that ASAP. Throw my faith in rap, but they say don't say that, huh? What I'ma turn down for? I feel like Shaq in 9-4. Breaking glass in that backboard. I like Kobe in Toronto, huh? Dropping 81. Yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake. Sleeping on it, should've stayed awake, huh? Everybody make mistakes like VJs. Tryna say my name, it's Minio. Say it with me, Minio. Okay, great, 2 forks high, raise stakes. Risk it all, I take the hate. This the winning team, get the Gatorade. My guy good, but he's not safe, nah. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. You can't stop me. You're my biggest opponent. You know me, I know you, we know it. Whenever I fail, you always been there to simply remind me I've blown it. You don't see when I'm growing. You don't see where I'm going. You only see in the moment. You know my mistakes. You never let go it. Don't cease to amaze me, and it drive me crazy, huh? Did you catch every detail that I missed in the songs I'm making? Saying, you will never write a verse like Kendrick, never be the rapper I got from Hendrix. Top 10 alive, you will never be mentioned. Why aim so high, I won't survive the trenches. Plus, you a Christian, Andy, they will never listen, Andy. Plus, we a pigment, Andy. You don't got skill, you a gimmick, Andy. Well, if I listen to you and everything you put in my ear, I'll be living like woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'll be paralyzed by fear, ain't that the truth? If I quit, the only way I lose, I got two choices when I do this: make moves or make excuses, If you know who I'm talking about, then you got me. My biggest enemy is me, and even I can't stop me. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. You can't stop me. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, you can't stop me. That's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. You can't stop me. Hit me.
Jesus music, Jesus music.
What's up, everybody? This is DJ Georgia Nicole on Club Light Radio. Keep it locked. Yeah.